all this is wrong. That the federal government that has created the crisis of housing comes as a savior trying to justify its existence on a topic where they created the problem from A to Z.
The housing situation in Canada has become an absolute mess. There's been a new report come out that shows that the housing situation is going to go nuclear. It's going to go to the moon. Let's take a look at that and I'll give you my opinion on that, as well as break this down with multiple different charts and graphs. First off, we've got a chart here where people were polled showing how much they trust the government to properly spend our money. And so just to understand this, right here is the date, April of 21. February of 23 and February of 24. So there's a 2-year gap here, and then this is basically just last month. And as you can see, 28% of people trusted Justin Trudeau back then, and now it's dropped to 19%. Conservatives, it's gone from 23 to 35. And the NDP has basically stayed the same. They gained a little bit, while the Green and the other ones kind of went down. And 21% of people, it just stays, pretty strong here. I trust none to responsibly manage is the black line. So yeah, people are trusting Pierre Poilievre more. I'm surprised 19%. Like, what is wrong with people with how bad things are? There's still people who think Justin Trudeau is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Moving on here, let's really look at the real honest situation that's going on in Canada. Housing is so bad that in Toronto, there's just people use the train as a place to sleep.
Next stop, Ree Street.
This is unreal. So just in that little clip there, I was counting, there's 14 people sleeping on that train there. Things are out of hand. Next up, we got a clip here of a girl giving her take on the current situation.
Unfortunately for Canadians, the cost of basic necessities like food and housing is some of the most expensive in the entire world. Strangely enough, we also happen to have some of the highest paid politicians in the entire world, and while millions of Canadians are struggling with the cost of living and can barely even put food on their table, they've decided to give themselves another raise, and it's not because they're doing a good job, they just give themselves raises every year just because.
So this is true. We need to put an end to this. Justin Trudeau's salary just went up to what, $406,000 a year, which does put him in the second position, I think, behind Singapore. The president of Singapore has an astronomically higher salary than everyone else. Then again, Singapore, it's clean, it's booming, the prices are great to live there despite how small the geography is. They have great, home prices. They have a lot of great programs there. It seems like a great place to live. If things are going well, might as well pay someone who's in charge of making things going well a lot of money. I would have no problem paying, say, Pierre Poilievre $1 million a year if he made everything amazing for all the citizens. And I think probably a lot of you would agree as well. It's not about how much they get paid, it's what they deliver for us. So next up, we've got a clip here from The Block, who, this is amazing. He absolutely rips Trudeau and dishes it straight. I agree with what he's saying here. He completely blames Trudeau what they've done to Quebec, how the housing situation in Quebec has gotten so bad.
Well, of course, the local government is not very proactive and is at fault here. But then it's ironic, it's a level of hypocrisy that is really impressive, that the federal government that has created the crisis of housing comes as a savior trying to justify its existence by creating programs within the competence of provinces on a topic where they created the problem from A to Z.
Yeah.
Accusation, how can you say that?
They have imposed to Quebec an immigration, a temporary immigration and a permanent immigration through their powers at the borders, at the airport, and through a pressure, a constant pressure on Canada as a whole, because they are aligned with the Century Initiative. They have created a very big disbalance between offer and demand on the housing market that translated into unaffordable prices and unaffordable rents, and a rise of the homelessness throughout Canada, including Quebec. And that was never negotiated with Quebec. That was never, they did it unilaterally, in which case you need to be in a mode of denial and hypocrisy to then show up in the competence of Quebec and say, I'll be the savior of the situation of all these people who can't find a house, who can't afford housing.
Measures are targeted for younger people, but don't you think that a renter's bill of rights, it's a good thing? Because we don't have a registry here in Quebec.
And I think Quebec should have such a registry, but we cannot be defending ourselves against Ottawa cheating its own constitution on a daily basis. That's the issue at stake here. It's on every single topic. There's no respect for the fundamental rules that founded that country. It's just cheating all the time. So it creates a posture where the CAQ is on a defensive mode all the time, loses ground all the time. And obviously, even if Justin Trudeau is really weak, he doesn't care about the 89 MNAs of the CAQ. There is no bargaining power whatsoever. And it creates this situation of lack of respect of what the rules should be. That is, that this is a Quebec competence.
Do you think, do you agree with what Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois thinks, that tenants kind of lose out as Ottawa and Quebec fight over jurisdiction? And as you said yourself, such a registry might be a good idea, but as the two governments fight, tenants don't get to move ahead.
I'm very critical of the moral signaling of politicians who actually created this current housing crisis by telling everyone for years that we should have more and more and more temporary and permanent immigration. I'm critical of that moral signaling now of saying we are the solution to the housing crisis with a registry and we're willing to deal with Ottawa even though it's cheating the Constitution. All this is wrong. First thing we ought to do right now is to rebalance the offer and demand and to help elderly people and people being evicted with better rights than what Duranceau has just gave them in the bill. I really tried to negotiate something before Christmas, but I didn't settle for the deposit of a law for marketing purposes. I really tried to get the end of the modification on the cession de bail, and I didn't get it because they don't give a beep.
That guy, yeah, he hit the nail right on the head there. Basically, Trudeau created the problem, and now he's trying to be the white knight to save it and fix the problem. And he is the problem. He needs to go. So next up, we got this article here from the Globe and Mail, and it says home prices could reach peak levels by next year and set new highs in 2026. This is from the CMHC, which is the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Yeah, this is coming right from the horse's mouth. Unfavorable financing conditions are expected to make it more difficult for our home builders to start new rental projects in 2024. You're seeing this right now. Builders are not building as much. It's just, it costs too much. It's risky. It's, they don't know if they're going to sell the units. There's just so much. It says here, we anticipate by 2025, 2026, lower interest rates continued by government support and policies encouraging greater density in urban centers should make more projects viable. The CMHC said affordability in the home ownership market will be a concern for the next 3 years as declining mortgage rates and the country's strongest population growth since the 1950s will likely spur a rebound in home sales and prices. Home sales dropped by around 1/3 from their peak in early 2021 to the end of 2023, while prices fell by nearly 15% over that time. During this time, the pool of potential buyers grew through robust population growth, increased savings, and higher incomes. I'm just going to say it straight here. Most of the people that are buying are from India. They're incredibly wealthy immigrants from India. Or they could be foreign students or foreign workers coming over who are also very wealthy, because a lot of the foreign workers and foreign students, they don't want to leave. Trudeau always talks about, oh yeah, we got these foreign students, we'll just get rid of that and that'll solve the problem. And, we'll limit that a bit. But like a lot of those people want to stay here. They're not coming here just, some people do for school and then they, go back home or wherever, but a lot of them do want to stay. As it says here, the mortgage rates and economic uncertainty decreased in the second half of 2024. We expect buyers to start returning to the market. So basically what sums it up here is the first line. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corp is forecasting home prices could match peak levels seen in early 2022 by next year and reach new highs in 2026. So let's look at this. I'll give you my take on this. I don't agree with this, but let's jump into this here. We can see these are the housing prices in Canada since 2008. So the housing prices went up. Justin Trudeau got into power. You can guess it. It's down here, right here. So Trudeau gets into power. And what you can see here is this increase is because we're building 240,000 houses per year. And we had some foreign students and some immigration. Our immigration around 250,000 a year. So plus Canadian births, that's why we were always going up slightly, because we were at a deficit, a slight deficit. Trudeau gets into power and he jacks it up. Boom, we got COVID. So that's where you get the dip, and then he jacks it up big time. Immigration goes up to 500,000, kaboom. And all these people coming in are wealthy, super wealthy. We have the crash, and it goes back up to another bump here, and that's where it ends here, 2023. We jump over to the next slide here. This is the same graph, but it has this orange line in here, which it says the average price trend. This is basically the SMA line if you're into stocks. This is a SMA, or a smooth moving average. It basically, you're taking this jaggedy graph and you're just smoothing it out so you get a general sense of the trend. It allows you to look at it and analyze it from a simplistic point of view. The difference between this one and the previous one here is you can see this dips back down. So this one's got slightly less information. So basically, if this was up to date, it would go up to this bump, go down, and then it would go up a bit and bump down there. They're projecting it to go up to the moon up here. So now if we look at some of these other numbers here, so the temporary foreign workers, there's two types here. There's the International Mobility Program, this IMP, and then the TFW, the temporary foreign worker. So you can see the numbers here. 2022, there's 470,000. There's just as many immigrants as there is temporary foreign workers here, the mobility program, then 135,000 of the foreign workers. So combine that together, right? You're looking at 600,000 people. Add in the 500,000 immigrants. Yeah, that's 1.1. And then the foreign students here. Like, this is just bonkers, man. This is an interesting graph here. So this shows the age. And this is like something really that should be considered by immigration. I don't know why they do this, but like, look at the age here. The highest age here is 65, 64, 62, basically on both sides. Why are we prioritizing bringing in people who are going to burden our healthcare system? We should have you have to pay $200,000 as you come in to get you caught up on taxes or something. Like I know this full well, as I used to be with my ex-wife, part of a Chinese family. This is very well known for anyone who comes from Hong Kong. They send their 90-year-old grandmother over, 80-year-old grandfather to just totally take advantage of the Canadian healthcare system. They've been doing this since 1991. This is no surprise. It's just really this bump should be like here. We should want to bring in people from 20 to 50, and then it should taper off on both sides. That's what our graph should look like. Of course, you've got, the absolute loser, Sean Fraser, and then, he went over to ruin housing, and you got Mark Miller now, both complete absolute failures at their jobs. Because in reality, how many of these people are going to be working? Like almost none. They're just coming here with a pile of cash. They're going to use our healthcare system, and they're going to buy a house and then just chill out. Like this doesn't offer a lot to our society, aside from taking up houses, increasing housing prices, and giving not much back. If you're an immigrant, you're that age, I'm not trying to offend. I'm here to protect my people, and we're suffering here. So you guys have to help us get rid of Justin Trudeau. What we got here is international migration to Canada from 1946 to 2023. Okay, so we got everything in there. So you can see the graph is kind of squashed because you can see this is Justin Trudeau right here. But basically Trudeau gets into power right here. I mean, it's color-coded. See, conservative right there, liberal. Boom, right away it goes up. Now this 1 year's COVID, doesn't count. The purple one there is the immigration, but it doesn't look like it improved much. It actually has doubled. So if we look here, go across, these numbers here are 500,000, just under 500,000. So he's doubled the immigration, and then like, look at the numbers here. Temporary like foreign workers and students is like almost nothing under Harper, and then Trudeau's like, yeah, let's just wreck the system, let's just break Canada, and they just jack it up. We have Justin Trudeau and Sean Fraser and Mark Miller to thank for this. Thanks guys, thanks losers. And finally, here's a graph of the countries people are coming from. No surprise, it's India. And this is a problem. Like, we also got China too. And the problem with this is both of these countries here, both have 1.4, I think India's 1.425 billion people and China is 1.411 billion. Just think of how many millionaires and billionaires, but millionaires are in these two countries, especially India with that many people coming in. There's more millionaires in these countries that will outbid every Canadian any day of the week ever. So if you're looking to buy a house and these people are coming in, they will outbid you every time. That is the problem. Canadians do not have a fair shake. They do have not a fair chance at buying houses when you have just so many rich people coming in. Now, one of the main problems in Canada with the housing situation is the broken mortgages. It's like everyone just gets a mortgage that's like 5 years long or 4 years long. So you'll be seeing these renewals come up in 2026, 2027, because Justin Trudeau encouraged people, low interest rates, historic lows. There's that one clip of him. So people got a whole bunch of mortgages in 2021, and 5 years later, 2026, 2027, those renewals will come up and people's mortgages will go from $2,000 a month to like $4,500 a month, and then they'll default or they'll go bankrupt or they'll have to dump it. It's going to be a mess here in the next couple of years. There is a simple way to fix this, and let's compare this to America, because Canada is so broken, and the reason why is the banks here are so corrupt. They have such a monopoly, and they are just squeezing us. And I'm really starting to think Trudeau probably has some sort of backdoor handshake deal with some of these big banks, maybe one big bank, maybe it's, RBC, Scotiabank. Those are the worst ones, because really they're the ones making hand over fist in these situations. So we look at America, you can get a fixed mortgage, 30-year fixed at 6.5% right now. You know what your payment is for 30 years. And in America, look at the options you got here, 30-year, 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 and there's different types here, right? 20-year, 15-year, 10-year. Like, you have to go to the bottom to even find a 5-year mortgage. The bottom here, we got a 5-1 ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage. So you start off at a lower rate and then it bumps up as you go through your term. And I've seen the 10-year ARM, or so it might be, I don't know how it works exactly. I'm not super versed with the American mortgages here, but you might be 5 years at a lower rate, then it bumps up to a higher rate for the next five years for that 10-year term or whatever. But in America, if you get a 30-year fixed and your rate is 6.5%, and then say 5 years down the road, suddenly the rates have come down, you can just refinance, which they have a button right here, refinance for a new 30-year mortgage at a lower rate. So it's like, it's such a better system there. So you got America for 6.5, but that's for 30 years versus Canada, you have 5.6 for 5 years closed. Canada, they like to squeeze you like this. You look on here, where's the 10-year option? Where's the 15? Where's the 20? Where's the 30-year? There's none on there. It's ridiculous. Now, you can get 10-year mortgages. I know that for sure, because I know one person who does have a 10-year mortgage. I did a lot of digging, and apparently RBC is the only bank that offers a 25-year mortgage in Canada, fixed, but the rates are going to be outrageous. Something like, in this case, it would be 12 or 13%, which is double what you get in America. Canada is broken, the banks are greedy, and that's all I gotta say. It's horribly corrupt. I'll give my thoughts here on where I think the housing situation is going, and then we got one final clip here of what's happening in Britain now with the same sort of housing situation. That report says they think that it's going to the moon and beyond in 2026. I think what's going to happen here is right now we're having a bit of a bump, and it's starting to go back up. And that's, people start buying houses right now, this time of year, and it'll keep going up. Once you get to September, people don't want to move around and stuff because their kids going back to school and stuff. So that's typically when things kind of start to slow down. People don't buy and sell through December. We are going to get the bump right now. It is going to definitely increase right now in price, the housing situation. This is driven by all those immigrants coming from India that are just super rich. They're just going to keep pushing it, and more Canadians are going to get pushed out. And it's ironic that the people coming in who have not paid a dime in taxes are the ones who get the benefits of living here. They get to have home ownership. They get to, like, it's gross. And I got nothing against the immigrants. I'm just saying this is terrible for the people of Canada who deserve to have the chance to buy those houses. What I think is going to happen is you're going to get 2025 roll around. You'll start to get that same bump up more, just like they predict. But I think once you're going to start getting to around July, August, you're getting close to the election there, which is in the end of October. And I think it's going to flatline because people are going to start to speculate. You're still going to get people coming in from India buying houses because they don't know what's going on here. The Canadians here are probably going to start dumping houses. Maybe it's extra houses, or maybe they're moving and getting out of the country. So I think the combination of people dumping houses and then the rich Indians coming in and buying houses, it'll flatline once you get through summer of 2025. Once the election happens, Pierre Poilievre comes in, and he's already said he's going to match the immigration rates to the amount of doctors and the amount of houses we currently have. We have a deficit of 5 million right now. By the election, it'll be like what, 7 million houses we'll need. So he's going to cut immigration to like almost nothing. I would suspect 10,000 a year, just enough if you've got a child in another country you need to bring over, like just these one-off cases that you really need some immigration, but he's going to cut it to almost nothing. And then that is going to slowly bring the house prices down, because as the prices come down, people will start to think, oh, well, I can jump in the market now. And this is all going to be dependent on the bank's rate, because if the rate goes down and it's easier, it's cheaper to get in, it's more affordable, people also want to jump in. So you're going to see that flat line. And if the bank rates go down, so it's more affordable, you'll just kind of see it flatline. And as Poilievre drops the immigration off a cliff, hopefully you'll see the housing prices come down. It'll be slow though. It's not going to just like dive off a cliff. It's going to be very gradual over probably a couple years. But I do think it will eventually drop down. Probably, it's hard to speculate, maybe 30%. I don't think you're not going to be seeing houses like in the town I live. The houses back when I moved to town, when I got out of divorce and that whole situation, I was looking for somewhere just to escape to. Houses here you could buy for $160,000. During the peak in 2022, they went up to about $550,000, and now I think they're like $450,000, something like that. So just using this town here as speculation, I think the 450 will go back up to 550, maybe even 600, and then it'll come back down probably to 400. Basically, like an additional 15% drop from where we are right now is what I'm predicting 2 years out. The days of $160,000 houses are gone. Canada won't be the same because Justin Trudeau, one man, has done this to a nation, and it's quite shocking to say the least. So let's jump into the last clip here. We've got a bus that shows up here. Recently, English tenants were evicted from this house in Derby so migrants could be homed instead of them. This is the response from the locals who have reached boiling point with their treasonous globalist sellout government.
Tell him to go! Tell him to go! Now!
Stolen houses.
Right, the van needs the keys. The van needs the keys. Who's got the keys? Someone's got the keys. If you don't give him the keys, now, they will be pushing it. People will be pushing it, and the van will get
These old codgers got some spice in them, that's for sure. I feel bad for the immigrants who show up because they don't know what they're getting into, but it's like we're getting infiltrated at a rate that's not sustainable, and it's destroying our culture, it's destroying our country, it's destroying our future of people who don't have a house, everyone's getting run into the ground. Enough's enough. People are snapping. Finally, here to end things on a positive note, we're in my group here. Yeah, basically. The state isn't coming fast enough. Amazing, it's hard to do this without a spine. Jagmeat, there's some stuff coming out about Jagmeat. It is just inflation. There we go, $100 for a turkey. That is outrageous. Simpsons have done it again. That's just gross. Oh, we're gonna end things on that one. Yeah, a lot of funny stuff always in there. Let me know in the comments down below what your guys' thoughts are on the housing situation. The comments there by the block. Growing a backbone, a spine, standing up for once. We got premiers, we got different members now. The block stepping up and speaking up. Share your predictions, what you guys think is going to happen with the housing situation. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think if Poilievre keeps the immigration to next to zero for 5, 6, 7 years, maybe you'll get those prices coming back down to a $250,000 house. It's hard to say at this point, but we just got too many people and not enough houses, and that's what it comes down to, supply and demand. Thanks for watching the end of the video. I greatly appreciate it all. You be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications so you get notified when my videos come out. I'll keep bringing you guys the news, and we'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys on the next one.